Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Retrospective podcast. I'm your host, Earnest EJ Christian. It is the same guys here, of course. It's Rob, the genius, of course, Rob Bonnette. It is also DJ Ventura as I unmute your mics. I want you guys to talk about you. People can hear you. There you are. Fellas, how you doing? First of all, happy holidays. And hold on. You guys watch on YouTube. I have the overlay up here. There you go. There you go.
Oh, there we are. I can see you.
Yeah, we had. If you guys watch on YouTube, we have the because we're doing. I was doing another watch along here, and we're doing that watch along of the last Saturday Night Main Event of 1988. I had the TV Guide promo on the front page of here, of course, on the relay. So, guys, how's your holidays?
So far, so good, man. How about yours?
Wait, is that over yet for you?
What?
Is that over for you? Is that over for you yet? To me, after Christmas, it's over for me because I don't celebrate New Year's.
Yeah,
New Year's is like an old day for me. So I'm a big New Year's guy.
Yeah, I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation all week, man. So it's
no wonder you're so relaxed right now, buddy. No wonder you're so relaxed. That makes perfect sense now. Oh my God. Anyway, so we are doing the as I mentioned, we're doing the November 26th event, November 26th, 1988 edition of the Science Main Event. I bring some of the stats here of this show. Sorry about that. I'm a little lagging here. Of course, this was filmed actually November 16th, 1988 at the Arco Arena in Sacramento, California, home of the Sacramento Kings. There's 15,900 in attendance. We are going through this entire year. We are still in the middle of the Macho Madness title reign here, and he'll be fighting here, of course, against Andre the Giant, and this will be the main event of the night. We also have Hercules. Sorry, not Hercules. Virgil against Hercules in this match as well too. Ultimate Warrior against Super Ninja and other matches on the card. I always ask this. I don't know why I keep asking this to you guys, but I'll ask anyway. 1988. What are you guys doing? November 88, leading into the holidays. This is after Thanksgiving. What are you guys doing?
So I was 14 and I was still heavy into it at that point.
Yeah.
So let's see. So Survivor Series was about to happen, and then Starrcade '88 was coming the next month.
Actually, it's past right. Actually, this actually came out a week after Survivor Series.
Okay. So so that happened, and then Starrcade '88 was the next month. I was waiting for that.
Was that the same night actually? The Survivor Series? Or no, that was the year before that. Year before they did the whole same night thing, right? No.
Well, yeah, because Starrcade used to always be on Thanksgiving,
right?
And then Jim Crockett decided that he wanted to try the pay-per-view thing, and then that was a mistake because Vince basically he said, "Fuck you, you're not doing this pay-per-view stuff."
Right.
And he just totally dropped the hammer on him. And so basically, Survivor Series was created to basically take the day away from Starrcade. That's why it was created. And they put it on and Vince put it on Thanksgiving, the same night the Starrcade was always on, and he strong-armed all the cable companies into carrying Survivor Series on pay-per-view. And he threatened them that if they tried to carry Starrcade, they wouldn't get WrestleMania. So they all caved into Vince.
Right.
So then the next year, the NWA basically they surrendered Thanksgiving and they moved Starrcade to December, so they could do the pay-per-view thing unhindered.
Interesting point. DJ 88, what are you doing?
November of '88. Just finishing up Thanksgiving holiday, and I was 15, and I'm pretty sure at some point when I told my mom there was wrestling on at 10:30 on a whatever night, she was like, "Again? Didn't you just watch wrestling?"
It never ends, man. I mean,
it doesn't.
We learned that through COVID.
Yeah. Well, and like Rob, I watched WCW/NWA and WWF, so there was wrestling on.
Oh my God, that's right. You double down.
All the time.
Right.
Oh yeah.
A couple of matches on this card. We got a flag match between Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Boris Zukov. There's a Brother Love show also too with special guest Hulk Hogan.
Oh boy.
Young Stallions against the Fabulous Rougeau brothers. And yeah, that's it. So guys, if you need to pause this podcast to see where we're at, It is actually on Peacock. It is Saturday's Main Event season 4 of episode 6. Again, November 26, 1988. Otherwise, pull up a chair, grab some coffee, whatever you want to do, and just enjoy the watch along for the next 1 hour and 6 minutes, 1 hour and 7 minutes, rather. So, if you guys ready to go?
Ready when you are.
Let's do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Warrior! And this is Warrior's first television, well, at least main spot as a champion, the IC champion.
Yeah, it looks like he was, Intercontinental champion at this point.
3 months.
Yeah.
Look at the veins on this dude.
Yeah.
God.
Steroids and cocaine, brother.
Did I tell you?
Oh, yeah.
So I was 8 years old this time. Did I ever tell you that there was around this time, someone 3rd grade told me that Savage and Warrior were the same person? And I believed it for like 2 weeks. Stupid, dude. They have Andre and Bobby. Andre's a all shot here against Macho. Andre's final years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, I mean, he at this point he was getting just visibly, progressively worse.
Now, Andre historically hated working with Savage.
Really? I didn't know that.
Look
he
at
didn't
Savage.
like Savage at all.
Well, look at Savage. Well, not only because of like him, but also Savage had a penchant of wearing baby oil. As you can look at his promo here, he's decked out in baby oil. He hated it, so he always gave Savage a little extra something in the matches. Andre style, of course.
I don't know who told Ted DiBiase that cutting a promo with the front part of his tuck still on was a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a terrible look.
It really is, dude. Yeah. But remember, he's also the manager in this match. Virgil's wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And this Hulkamania. Again, I'll say it again. This is actually my favorite Hogan era, non-Hogan reign, title reign. Non-title Hogan title reign,
yeah.
I thought 80 Hogan was peak Hogan still. He got so big to a point where like he didn't need the belt anymore.
Pretty much, and at this point, it kind of breathed some life back into him because after that 3, and this is where I'm worried about Roman's reign. Is that at the 3-year mark, we were all ready for something new, and not that Hogan wasn't still over, but the formula had become way too formulaic at that point.
Are you at a point now, Roman, that you want something new, or are you?
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer because when he's there and when he's doing his thing, it's really freaking good.
Because I feel like they've done a good job the last year and a half, almost 2 years of spacing it out a little bit, where he's not on TV all the fucking time. He's always. There's enough room to breathe. People all these marks complain about, why is he every week on SmackDown? Or you dude, you don't want that because then you complain that he's getting too much.
Right. It's either he's on too much or he's not on enough. There's no winning with these folks.
Exactly.
I think as long as the work that he keeps putting in keeps me invested, I'm here for the long ride. But it just feels like I said, I don't know how much of that was. This is due to his health. It's hard to say, but yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, as long as they have stories, and they haven't run out of stories yet. Like he's not just showing up and having matches, right? Because if that was it, like if he was just because I mean that was the thing with Hogan when it started to get kind of played out was that he was just having matches, right? Like after he beat Andre in '87, the rest of that year, like he was just having like there were matches with very little story or anything to them the rest of that year. And so I mean it did get kind of played out. But in Roman's case, I mean he's more than likely either going to get Randy or AJ at Royal Rumble, and there are stories to both of those matches. They both, there's like a revenge story both of those matches.
Right. Yeah.
and whoever gets at WrestleMania, it'll be the same. And then, and then of course, and also, I mean, the story during the whole title run has been, all the family drama and whatnot. So that's always been kind of the underlying premise to all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if he's just having matches and just having title defenses, yeah, that would get old. That would have gotten old already. And I'm saying that as Roman is my favorite wrestler. So.
And back then too, also you can do that because the attention span back then in 1987, 88, 89 was not as prevalent as it is now. Like folks want everything in their face now, and then when they get too much, they complain that's too much. And there's no satisfying the customer no matter what. At least back then. Yeah, go ahead.
No, there's an adage: you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time.
Correct. So, by the way, this is a Super Ninja against the Warrior. He was.
I think this is the one and only appearance of Super Ninja, is it not?
I've never seen him beyond this match.
Yeah,
Rob, do you remember seeing him beyond this match?
No, I totally forgot about this. So I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, this is the guy that takes down the Ultimate Warrior. Of course, this is Warrior fresh off his SummerSlam '88 win as IC champion. Shocking '88.
Probably Bruce Pritchard under a hood.
You're about to say it's probably some guy named Fred from Cleveland or something.
Well, they said that I actually saw this. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. Actually, I'm reading this here that the guy who was Super Ninja was a German wrestler named Rip Oliver.
Okay.
Whoever the hell he is. Clearly, he's not Japanese. So
clearly not.
Yeah. So you got an American under a Japanese gimmick. Great. Good job, Vince. Yeah, they were at this point. They had fast track Warrior, and from this point on, they're fast track Warrior to the top.
Oh yeah,
I think
they strapped the rocket to him.
Yeah, they saw dollar signs from this point on. Because you got to remember too, also they had this is an era too where the IC belt had a lot of value to the company, a lot. Because you only had two titles. You had the world title and this title. That's it. And of course, tag titles. But and the same thing with Savage. When Savage got to WWE in '85, they saw dollar signs immediately, and he had to strap within 3 months. So with Warrior, same thing, same situation.
There he comes.
Yeah,
this lunatic.
Yeah, that's what Vince called. Jesse calls him a lunatic.
Calls him a maniac or a lunatic or something.
Look at this psycho.
It's a shame he wasn't any better in the ring than he was, because this dude had everything else.
Yeah.
He had the look. He had all the charisma in the world. I mean, and the guy just was frenetic energy. And then it, stopped short in the ring.
Yeah. This is embarrassing. This is like,
we need to get a wrestler who's somehow worse than the Warrior to go out there and make the Warrior look good. How did this happen?
Is that Tim White refereeing there? That's Tim White, isn't it?
Yes.
Rest in peace.
That's Tim White. Yes.
That was Andre's best friend too, I think.
Yeah, I loved hearing story. What was that? The Warrior with a leapfrog?
Yep.
Jesus.
I'll tell you what, though, Warriors. If you put Warrior with the right workers, he did phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Like his match with Hogan in Mania 6, great match, psychologically speaking. Him and Savage at 7, amazing. His matches with Rude, SummerSlam, Mania 5, you name it.
Yep.
All really solid matches. So as much as untrained or whatever unskilled Warrior was, if you put him with the right people, you could have gotten a good 20 minutes out of him.
Yeah, he always worked better with a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny, seeing the kind of the because I mean, this was, of course, Sting was doing a parallel ascension over there in the NWA the very same year, because this was the year that Sting had the Magic Clash of Champions with Ric Flair, and And this was the year that he turned into a big thing.
He went for a title in 90, right?
Sting, yeah.
Same year Warrior won it. Interesting.
Yep, and they started out teaming together.
This guy is not helping him at all.
Oh, that guy stinks.
He's terrible.
This is a squash match, dude.
It is.
But there's a good way to get. I mean, you can get squashed, and make the guy look good squashing you. This guy isn't doing anything. This guy's terrible.
The Warrior needed a bunch of help, and this guy was no help at all.
No,
not at all.
Wow.
Mr. Fuji lied to him. Jesse says it. He goes, Mr. Fuji told me this guy is great. This guy's gonna be awesome in the ring. I guess Fuji lied to me. I'll tell you what, man. To me, watching this era wrestling with Jesse on commentary, you can't turn down the mic. Let's turn down the volume because this dude was what he came to his words. Jesse was on top of his game, especially in 80, 89. He was on top of his game.
Yeah, Jesse was amazing on commentary.
Yep.
And if you listen to him, he largely played a heel, but every now and then when the story needed it, he'd ride the line and he'd switch if you really paid attention.
And that's why I honestly preferred him to all the other heel commentators because he knew, like, because so many of the other ones, like, it got to the point where they were just then still just go overboard, and to the point where it's like, okay, it doesn't even feel like doesn't even feel real.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right about that.
This stuff here with Hercules was low-key one of my favorite angles for, like, the lower mid-card guys. I bought into this, Bobby Heenan selling Hercules services to the $1 Million Man. Mm-hmm. I totally bought into this.
Absolutely. By the way, you know who else is actually good at that? Also, to Rob, to your point about commentary, who does a good job bridging the heel face thing? Corey Graves. Corey Graves is great at that also too.
He's not too bad. Corey Graves has grown on me. The first couple of years he was on commentary, I was like, I don't know about this kid, but I've come to accept that he's actually better than a lot of people think he is.
I'll be honest with you. I think after Jesse, he's probably my favorite heel commentator or
really?
color guy. I mean, I would say Bobby too, but Bobby was always part time. He was never a full time guy.
Yeah,
at least on this era, he was more full time in WCW than he was in WWE.
Yeah, unfortunately, by the time he was in WCW, he was check cashing. He was
most
of the time.
He was doing for them what JR's doing for AEW now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He was still good. You're wrong, but he wasn't nowhere as great as he was in WWE.
Bobby Heenan almost, and not almost, but if you were paying attention, spoiled one of the biggest heel turn surprises of the modern wrestling era when Hogan turned heel. Bobby Heenan.
Whose side is he on?
Whose side is he on? Like, Heenan, you're blowing it, man. Come on.
I wonder if he meant to do that. I wonder if he actually, if he was told to do that, or he meant to do that.
Well, Bischoff said that it wasn't. That was completely off the cuff. And
oh my god,
yeah.
Wow.
And and he said ultimately he didn't. They didn't mind because it fit with Bobby's feelings about Hogan.
Right.
Yeah.
He's always had conflict. I won't say conflicted. He's always had issues with Hogan.
Well, he always felt like Hogan wasn't shit.
Right.
So. And it was not to be trusted, basically.
Right, and he was right.
Bobby Heenan told us for decades, man.
Yep, told us 11 years ago. By the way, Hercules face turn here, not terrible. I mean, I don't know if he's better. He's probably better. He's still better as a heel, but
yeah, much more effective as a heel. But this was a neat little thing to give this guy something to do.
Yeah, and just I mean, he was limited from a character standpoint, so
right.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't, this is about as good as you were going to get.
So you all agree that better heel than face, Hercules?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought the Power and Glory stuff he did after this was pretty cool. I thought Power and Glory
was very good.
Has some staying power. I don't know why they never stuck with it.
All right. Let's see what we got going on here. Here he comes. Hercules coming down to whoop some ass.
Well, not for lack of trying. They really try to push him to as much as they could because he teamed up with the Mega Powers as a Survivor Series too. So they tried their best to push him as a bona fide babyface.
Well, the guy looked like $1 million at one point. I know later on he got a little bit of a beer gut going on, but
yeah,
in the first few years, Hercules was a body guy. He wasn't terrible in the ring. I think, like Rob said, the character was limited, and I don't know that I ever heard him cut a meaningful promo ever.
No.
Yeah.
No. So I hope it's made Hogan special. Oh, look, the Burger King promo there. We do it like you do it. I was actually watching Wrestling Challenge from 1986 on the Peacock earlier today.
Yeah.
Oh man, some of the stuff there. I tell you, this. Some guys I like wrestlers I haven't seen in decades or I never even saw before that I'm discovering in like '86 and '87.
Yeah, it's interesting during that time period who came through there, even just for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Hercules is taking control early on here.
Yep.
Virgil doesn't know where he's at.
Yeah.
This was actually a hot feud though too. Also for a good while. This went into I think into probably February, March of the next year. I mean, if you're gonna turn face, this is the right guy to go against. Is DiBiase.
Yeah.
This is the correct guy to go after.
Poor Virgil.
Yeah. For real, dude.
Yeah.
So I've been deep diving well, first off, WWE, I know what's going on with their updates and stuff, Ben, but so they put up Wrestling Challenge in 2020, 2021, whatever it was. But they only put up season 1, 86, and in the first 6 episodes, 87. They haven't updated it since then.
Really?
So I've been finding a lot of the remaining episodes on YouTube. So I've been going through Wrestling Challenge and then Superstars Wrestling in 87, 88 on YouTube. It's kind of interesting stuff, actually. Do some deep dives with that.
That's about the only thing with, like, I understand the move to Peacock, why they did it and everything like that. But that's the one thing about the network that I miss was you could find all that stuff and it was actually laid out much easier than it is on Peacock.
Right. My question though is why have they not updated the rest of the Wrestling Challenge episodes from 1987 and 88?
Can't answer that.
And 89 and 90. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's a rights issue, I guess. I don't know. And he prior to COVID, they were really good at updating stuff on a normal basis. And then I think after COVID, it just kind of slowed down.
Well, how long is that deal good for, Rob? Do you know?
I think like 2026, I think.
Yeah, it was a 6-year deal. Wasn't that 5-year, 6-year deal? Yeah.
Yeah. And look, I mean, they made it. They made that deal at exactly the right time because like these streaming services are a money pit to run on your own.
I gotta tell you, I think WWE Network should do pretty decent though because there's nothing but content they have. You have many fans. You gotta remember too. Also, when I got the network when it first debuted, I wasn't watching the current product anyway. I got the network solely for the old stuff, for the access to the old stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I got it because I didn't want to pay $50 a month for a pay-per-view.
But my point is though, to your point though, DJ, you have different eras of people and fans and whatnot that will get the network for reasons. So I think this kind of stuff has a lot of staying power.
Yeah.
It does, but it's just we'll put it this way. None of I think the only streaming service that turns a profit is Netflix. None of the other ones turn a profit. And because they're not, in order to make a profit, selling your service for $5, $10, even $15 a month, you got to have just like a shit ton of subscribers to, for the volume.
Yeah.
To make and none of them have hit that mark. and,
I think at its peak, WWE Network only had like what 1.5 million, if you can believe that.
Yeah, and it plateaued, and then so it wasn't making the money they needed to make, because I mean they got into the streaming business before a lot of people did. So they were, I mean, because look, Vince has always been ahead of the curve on distribution.
Absolutely. He was doing what was it, the WWE on demand stuff also too, like 10 years before that, and
I mean
24/7 and all that.
Yeah, I mean, so he was always, I mean, he would get ahead of like, other like TV studios and whatnot, not just wrestling companies, whether it was like syndication or pay-per-view or cable. And so they got to the streaming thing before most other people did, but then they also got out because they saw that it's not a sustainable model. And so they were much better off just licensing their content to Peacock and just getting paid for it.
So last time we did this podcast, we reviewed this. We watched this actual match and the situation with Jake and Andre. You see on the screen here.
Yeah,
Andre, absolutely incredible here.
Yes. Absolutely. The only disappointing thing about this match with Savage and Andre, and you'll see obviously, is that the focus was more on this rivalry between Andre and the Snakes versus this being Savage's biggest challenge to date. It kind of sort of cheapened this match for Savage in some ways, because this was actually Savage's biggest challenge to date as champion. I mean, the way you build Andre as the biggest monster in the history of the company, and this is Savage's first time facing him on TV. I thought they didn't do a good job of that and making this a bigger title match especially for Savage too. So Andre would have choked Mean Gene. Yep. Yeah, he told the title once held once briefly for 35 seconds.
Yeah.
In February of this year. We're not far away from the Mega Powers breaking up either. Well, about 3 months away from that.
It's coming.
Yep.
I mean, you don't get any clues in this show, to be honest with you. Although the only thing I will say is that during Savage's promo, you'll see in a second, he compares himself. Well, Hogan did this. Well, I'm doing this now. I'm going to do what Hogan did now. He's trying to put himself on level with Hogan and what he did as champion. This dude, man, look at that back. My God, huge.
I may have to do a deep dive on like early Andre matches. I know I've seen
Me too.
Little bits and pieces here and there. Like some of the stuff he did with Stan Hansen back in the day. Him and Stan Hansen used to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah. Because it's, I mean, so much of what we saw was unfortunately when his health was starting to go on him.
Yeah.
But back like during the 70s when he was really mobile and could move around.
Yeah. That's the stuff I want to find.
Yeah. Looking back now in hindsight, how would you grade Savage's title reign in '88, his first one?
Gosh.
If you remember it, from the start to finish. I give it an A. Actually, to be honest with you.
I mean, I think in terms of go ahead, TJ.
No, go ahead, Rob. You started.
I mean, I think in terms of just like checking the boxes and and all of that type of stuff. I mean, I'd give it an A. Now, being I guess, but now that we're a lot smarter to the business, it would probably come off a little more boring now because because we knew we would know now that he wasn't that the Hogan turn and all that was coming and that they were going to be fighting at WrestleMania, so we would know that he wasn't going to lose the title until then.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I would say if this was booked like in today's era, this is going to take a year. This is to be done 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was spaces out for really, honestly, the story started in 87, not in 88. It started in October 87. So the fact you got this story to really go, honestly, 2 years, because really it ended at SummerSlam 89 doing the Zeus match, Zeus and Savage against Hogan and Beefcake. It got that far. That would never have gotten that far in this era. Because again, attention spans.
It would have been hard to. They would have had to. They would have had to, because they would have to do something to beef up his title feuds during the year he was champion. Because like back then we weren't smart to the business, and so so for us, like watching this back then, this was actually, we weren't sure what was going to happen here.
Correct.
Because
so he feuded with DiBiase to start this reign.
Yeah.
He feuded with Andre. He feuded with Bad News Brown, and he feuded with Twin Towers. And then of course that multiplied, that morphed into him and Hogan splitting up, and of course.
And because that's honest, that's one of the getting back to with Roman, what they one thing that they have done is that they, even though we knew Roman wasn't going, Roman wasn't going to lose to Sami Zayn in February, but they still, at the time of the match, it was, they made it believable.
Of course, absolutely.
And so that's the trick, really, is to making the defenses believable, and it's harder to do that now.
Yeah, of course,
because particularly with us quote unquote smart fans, because we look at the calendar and we know, like for example, we know that if Roman, Roman's either going, if he doesn't lose at WrestleMania, the only other possible time he might lose is SummerSlam. So we know that, okay, if he wins at WrestleMania, that anything that happens in between that and SummerSlam is almost, not that important, which is this year why he didn't defend the belt between WrestleMania and SummerSlam.
Right.
They did those, those Bloodline Civil War tag team matches. And it made sense because, him having a couple of throwaway defenses in between Mania and SummerSlam probably would have made things boring.
Yeah. It's actually a good match, though, if you think about it. Like, in terms of psychology.
It's been good so far. Andre's been out there. He's been aggressive. Savage, it's been some good give and take. It started out as a real fight.
Yeah. You go ahead.
No, I like when Andre would use the strap to choke him out.
Yeah. I think the point here is too that it was to make Savage look strong also too against the biggest guy in the company. Now Savage has said in the past though he preferred to be a heel.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Which is shocking because back then the money was being a face, but then again, Savage probably enjoyed the heel role because that's this is more to do there. And to be fair too, also he was a heel. He had the cool factor. He was cooler than Hogan at one point, I would say.
Yeah.
On his ascent to the top, say 86, 87, even though he was a dashly heel, he would have people cheering for him still. You could not like Macho Man Randy Savage, even though he was a dick to Liz.
Yeah. When I was I started off as a heel, and then they turned to be babyface. Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I had more fun being a heel.
Yeah.
It's fun to get out there and fuck with that crowd.
Yeah, of course.
And just have them boo you out of the building. There's a certain cool factor about, kids wanting your autograph and people wanting pictures and stuff like that, which, was pretty neat. But in the moment, when you're out there, I had a lot of fun as a heel.
I believe that too. I believe that.
The first autograph I ever signed was awkward as shit too.
It was awkward, you said?
It was awkward. So, quick story. I was in a battle royal, and it was in South Florida. It was actually close to you. It was in West Palm Beach.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And the finish was me and my friend Eddie, who I got into the business with. We were feuding at the time, and we were the last two people in this battle royal. And he's whipping my ass. He's the heel. I'm the babyface. He's whipping my ass. He hits his finisher, which was basically the Scorpion Death Drop.
Yeah.
So I'm laying there. I take the bump. I'm laying there, and the guy who booked the show, Cliff, got this Hulk Hogan imposter, still in full NWO gimmick, to slide in the ring, do this thing with Eddie, hit him with this horrible, horrible big boot. That, and mind you, this guy was older than Hogan then.
Right.
Okay. This guy, from the neck up, he looked like Hulk, like dead ringer for Hulk Hogan from the neck up. From the neck down, he looked like Paul Hogan.
Is that Horace Hogan?
Yeah. So he hits Eddie with a big boot that hit Eddie somewhere around the midsection. Eddie bumped forward. The guy hit the leg, threw Eddie out over the top rope. I win the Battle Royal from some shenanigans. And we do this parade around the ring. Oh, my God, it's Hogan, whatever. And later on, as we're leaving, my girl I was dating at the time, we stopped in a gas station to grab a couple of drinks, and I was grabbing a Coke. And this girl, like, bless her heart, she was as timid as all get out. She slowly and nervously approaches me to get an autograph. She's like, hey, I saw the wrestling show. And I'm embarrassed because I'm like, you saw that finish? and you still want an autograph? You know what, young lady? Here you go. And I signed her autograph, but it was just awkward because I thought the ending of that match was the shits. What is Jake wearing here? Back to the match. What is Jake? Is he like a full jumpsuit?
Look at Bobby. What's on there? Jake.
Look, Jake's been hanging out with Eddie Murphy. Look.
Yep.
That's what that get up on.
That's his Raw outfit, actually.
It is. It's like a whole leather jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now this is Babyface Savage here. He's gonna tell Jake here, leave the match. I got this. He wants to do like a fighting champion. I don't want anybody helping me.
Yeah. Did we ever get like a legitimate? No, we did. Never mind. I'm about to answer my own question.
What was that?
I was going to ask if we got a legitimate Jake Roberts, Randy Savage feud. But yeah, I remember Jake had the snake bite him in the arm.
91. Yeah.
Yep.
And they actually feuded twice. Actually, they had a match actually on the main event actually in '86. Yeah. Exactly 2 years before this match, on the November edition '86 on the main event, they had a match. They were both heels at the time.
Oh, Andre's laying in those chops, man.
Yep, always did. You know, Andre's not focused now because now the snake's under the fucking ring.
Yeah, now Andre's fighting for his life.
Yeah, no, but they feuded for a little while. Not a big feud. Had a big match with the IC title. They fought. They're both heels, but that's when Jake started to turn into a face. Though he was getting more cheers than Savage was.
Gotcha.
At that point, so
that's something I'll have to go back and watch because on paper it looks like those two would have great chemistry.
Oh, without question. Boy, Savage. I'll say it again. I said on Twitter 2 days ago. I think the two best sellers in history of this company, probably wrestling history, Savage and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Savage made you feel it. He made you believe it.
Yeah,
Damn, Andre's not giving him anything right now.
No. And like Savage didn't do the overselling.
No. Like that for example. See, the bump in the head.
Yep.
Because I don't like the overselling for me. Just after a while, I'm just like.
Well, Shawn did that to be a dick, though. To be fair, Shawn did that to be a dick. Like something with Hogan in the SummerSlam night in 05.
Yeah.
There was issues there, real issues.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess for me, even like, or like some of his, even when he wasn't doing it on purpose, like I don't know. For me, just. Like this stuff Mr. Perfect would do. I would just, after a while, I'd just be like, okay.
Yeah, I had a hard time with certain matches. With like Mr. Perfect was an incredible worker.
Yes.
Incredible worker, but he just oversold. And again, I could say the same thing about Dolph Ziggler.
Yes.
I loved, big fan of Dolph Ziggler. But again, there were times when that dude would oversell.
I agree.
Yeah, and because to me, like some people think that, because some quote unquote smart fans have the idea that that's the only way you're supposed to sell stuff, and then if you don't do that, that that you're not selling. I mean, it's like no. I mean,
there you go. We got double DQ here.
Heenan, what a worker!
Yep.
Yeah.
Andre's busted open.
Yep. Great acting by Andre here too. Once again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So every time Bobby does a match, he always has his henchman come out there. This is the one night he doesn't have it. Like really?
Well, it's Jake the Snake, Randy Savage, and that Snake. Would you come out there?
You mean so you want to bring Rick Rude out there, or
Rick Rude ain't coming out there?
Hercules? No, Hercules gone. Sorry, Rick Rude. Who at this point the Heenan family was what? It was at this point it was Rick Rude. It was
Andre.
He just lost Hercules at this point. Bundy was gone at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was short on guys at this point.
Yeah. He would eventually get Kurt Hennig though at some point.
Andre was the Heenan family.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's my own question there.
But this was actually, I mean, this was one of Andre's better matches at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this whole match was good.
I hate the ending. The ending sucked. I don't like the ending.
Yeah, the ending. Yeah, like I said, the ending kind of takes away from the match itself.
I think what they were trying to do was use Savage's title reign to put more spotlight on the feud with Jake and Andre. That's why.
Well, if Jake is to be believed, at some point Vince had him eyeballed for a future world championship reign. Mm-hmm. I was kind of scrolling through some TikTok stuff a while back, and it was an interview, and I don't even remember what it was from, whether it was Dark Side of the Ring or what, but he was talking about the Ultimate Warrior. Mm-hmm. And when the Ultimate Warrior was going through his big, shit with Vince, and Vince fired him, somewhere around that time period, according to Jake was in line to actually take the strap off the Warrior and have a brief run with it. And then, the night Vince fired the Warrior, he kind of looked at Jake and said, "You've got to be the most unlucky son of a bitch on the planet." And those are Jake's words. Like I said, it's how much of that is to be believed is, left to interpretation.
But I'll tell you what, in hindsight, though, I don't think Jake needed the title, dude. Honestly, it wouldn't enhance him any more than he was then. He was so good in that role. Yeah. I'm not saying I wouldn't want him to have a title, what was IC title or the world title, but he didn't really need it. He really didn't need it.
No, but it would have been a good foil for the Ultimate Warrior had his world championship reign caught traction and they did more with him. Mm-hmm. I think he would have been a good foil for the Warrior because, again, character-wise, Jake the Snake brought a lot out of the Warrior.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they probably should turn Jake heel earlier then, if that was the case.
Yeah.
Because Jake was still a face when Warrior lost the title in 91.
Yes.
He turned heel like months later. Jim Duggan. Now, hey, this dude was, say what you want with this guy. He was over heavy.
Oh, yeah. This dude was over like Rover.
Yeah.
Easily top 5 babyface in the company at this point.
And again, a guy who a championship would have done nothing to elevate him any further than he was.
Nope. Not at all. Didn't need it. They gave him a crown, though, a couple months later after this. But
yeah.
Yeah, he was a king. He was a king for a little while, and he was the very first Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah, you just could say that. Boris Zukov.
Yeah.
The size of this dude's head.
Huge.
Good Lord.
Making fun of the Russians now. Also a Union, rather. Vince loved doing this shit, like making fun of the Soviet Union in his era. Yeah, see, look at that crowd. Way over.
Oh, yeah, they loved him.
Oh yeah.
Now that said, this match is not gonna be. I don't think this match will be much more than a fucking hoss fight. That's it. That's it. Just the two big guys slapping meat. That's it. Yeah, for all you guys at home, the USSR still existed this time.
Yes.
And it was last legs, obviously, but it still existed.
Yeah.
And back at this time, well, in the early to mid '80s, there was no easier way to get heat than to be a Russian wrestler.
Yep. That's why it was weird seeing Slick as the managers for all those USSR guys. Jesse always say like Doug is not like a broken faucet. I mean, to be fair though, it's easy to get over though if your gimmick is sticking to the flag of the country.
Oh yeah,
Kinda
back then,
easy.
yeah.
But he was
especially
likable.
in 1988.
Yeah. But Duggan was likable though. He was very likable.
Yeah, he had more than the USA. I mean, that Ho chant got over. The 2x4 got over.
And I mean, he was a huge babyface in Mid South before he came here, and he wasn't, and he wasn't doing the leaning in on the flag quite as much.
I need to do a deep dive on Mid South one day.
Oh man, there's a lot of stuff because Duggan, DiBiase, Coco Beware,
Jake, right?
Jake, yeah, they were all there.
Wasn't Savage here too? Also Savage, or was
Well, Savage was in Memphis with Lawler,
right?
but Junkyard Dog was in Mid South.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where his like heyday was.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a big star in the Mid South.
Yeah,
JYD was.
Yeah, he was like the number one guy.
JYD at this point was out of the company now, or close to be out of the company.
Yeah, by the time he came to WWF, he was already like kind of washed up, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a couple of years out of him, but
yeah, because the name value, and only that,
Yeah.
he was actually people liked him.
yeah, but his best years were in Mid South.
I believe that. Yeah, by '88 he was cooked. Like he was barely relevant in '87 as it was. Like to me, his last relevant year really in with Vince was like '86 maybe. If
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
80, maybe '85 really. So by '87 he had that feud with Harley Race at WrestleMania
Yeah.
3. After that was over, that was it. You didn't see
Well,
much
Man, let me tell you about somebody being hot and upset about that match with JYD and Harley Race, because I was a big JYD fan back in the day.
Mhm.
And for him to drop that match and have to bow down to Harley Race, just terrible for me at that point.
Yeah. Squash match pretty much here.
Pretty
Fair
much.
Yeah. This show had a lot of squash matches, honestly. It wasn't as great a show outside of Savage match, and I'll give you Hercules, and then gonna have Hogan. I'll do the Brother Love show in a second. This show really didn't do much to push him on more storylines outside the Jake and Andre stuff. That's about it. And I guess salute the flag. This is also post-election, like literally. Rob, this is actually literally weeks after the election in '88.
Oh, okay.
This is after Bush got elected. God,
Jesus.
good God, what a character he was, huh?
Dude made a ton of money at that.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Lean into it, man. Absolutely. I will say it was a hot crowd, though. We'll say that. By the way, as I was telling you guys, while I'm watching deep diving Wrestling Challenge '86 on the Peacock, of course. You got to see early Honky Tonk Man.
Oh yeah.
Babyface Honky Tonk Man.
Oh wow.
Fucking weird.
That is weird.
Watching that. Yes. That does not work.
Somebody probably looked at that really quick and said, "No, this guy's a heel."
He didn't get over it. That's the thing. People booed him.
Yeah.
And the crowd. It reminds me of what Rocky Maivia. They tried, didn't work. The crowd wasn't feeling it. So
because I'm out because I mean it was a whack gimmick to do as a baby face.
Oh, Maivia?
Nobody's buying an Elvis impersonator as a baby face.
Yeah, and yeah.
All right, here's the Hogan boss man. The Slick, the man.
Yeah.
This segment here had a massive impact on my childhood.
I mean,
this was a great segment.
Oh yeah, because he's beating the hell out of him.
Yep. Look at Bossman, line him up. Hogan said he loved working with Bossman.
Bossman was a hell of a worker, man.
He really
was, man.
He's only been there 3 months at this point. And to the moon immediately. We can work with Hogan. What? Okay.
Yeah, how do you say no to that?
Yeah.
Look at this shit. This right here. This whole segment was like literally my childhood right there. God. I was invested in that storyline heavily. And it's Bruce Pritchard. I love Brother Love, man. No pun intended, of course.
Just characters alone, easily top 10, top 20.
Easily 20. Fucking top 10.
Probably top 10. Probably top 10 gimmicks.
I can argue top 5.
Yeah. Okay. I hear that argument.
No, because think about it. I mean, people say, well, he's not a wrestler. I don't care if he's not a wrestler or not. We're talking about gimmicks.
Gimmicks. Straight gimmicks and characters. He's absolutely a top 10.
He also fit the culture where we were at this point in America. You know, all these fake ass ministers and, you know.
Well, this was right on the heels of the Jim Baker.
Right, Jim Baker.
Yes.
This is bad acting. That's Slick. Oh, my man. Here he is, Slick.
I love this dude.
This is great.
It was Kangol hat and everything. I understand he has a lawsuit pending from the thing from years ago, man, but get this man to Hall of Fame as soon as you can, man. God, deserves it. To me, this guy made wrestling enjoyable for me. It's about gimmicks. This is a top 10 gimmick.
Slick was incredible.
Yeah.
The red face here is so sick, dude. Obviously as a kid, 8 years old this time, despised both of these guys. Despised them.
Oh yeah.
In hindsight, looking at wrestling as a whole, more broader, if I had to tell you forget wrestlers, let's talk about characters all time. Both of these guys are my top 10 probably. Not even joking. Not even joking.
When I did my manager gimmick, Slick was one of the guys that I looked at for influence.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm out there, I'm like thinking of everything I ever saw these guys do. Jim Cornette, Bobby Heenan, Slick. What would Slick do now? What would Slick say, in this situation? You look at these guys, and he was absolutely a guy I drew influence from.
Mm-hmm.
Because I loved watching the way, in hindsight, looking at the way Slick was ringside with the people in the first couple of rows.
Right.
Looking at the way he interacted with people, he was fearless. And it's incredible to watch in hindsight now.
Mm-hmm. He was funny too, man.
Oh, yeah, it was hilarious.
Holy shit.
And that was part of it. How do you pull off being hilarious, but also still make people hate you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Turn the volume here a little bit. This is great.
Does anybody know where the Brother Love gimmick started? Was was that something Pritchard brought to Vince and said, "Hey, what do you think?" Or did somebody come up with this and pitch it to Pritchard?
I don't know the answer to that, but I listened to an episode of Something Wrestle years ago because he did explain that one time. I can't remember exactly.
I might have to pull that up and figure out how that started because I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that think tank discussion.
Best thing to do is look at the Something Wrestle podcast and look at the early episodes.
Okay.
Because I remember one year when the show first came out, and you can argue those podcasts are what actually brought me back to wrestling.
Yeah.
I was listening to those podcasts before I came back to watching the current product. Something Wrestle was the first podcast I listened to. Bless you.
Thank you.
Something Wrestle was the first podcast I listened to, and I remember doing massive deep dives on that show in the first like 40 episodes in 2017. So, but I do know he did explain that one time on the show because he did one episode on Brother Love. I'll look it up now. Actually, no, not think about it. I'm subscribed to it anyway. He keeps cutting him off. Well, Hogan talking. So great. Exactly. This is great. This is Sports Entertainment's finest in 1988. There you go.
Now Hogan's taking over the interview.
Shut up! Say, shut up! All right, so I'm looking it up right now on the episodes from early days because it's like a 7-8 year. I don't see a Brother Love episode here actually. It might be actually on the episodes of Ask Bruce Anything. I'd love to know. I love this. I feel like his perspective was more interesting than having wrestlers because Pritchard was someone that worked under Vince. He had more access to a lot of shit to both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a Bruce a Brother Love episode, but I'm sure if you do a deep dive here, you'll find something here.
Oh, I'm sure I can.
Yeah, because I mean, like Cornette is interesting to listen to when he talks about like a lot of the historical stuff because he was a manager obviously, but like he wasn't the booker, but because of his role, he was privy to a lot of the booking philosophies, and he would talk to people like Bill Watts and all that all the time, and
right.
So he can kind of he could give you both sides of what was going on, like from a talent standpoint and from like from what the booker was thinking.
You guys listen to wrestling podcasts normally?
I have a love-hate relationship with most wrestling podcasts because
explain.
Well, because all right, I mean, I there are a few that I listen to sometimes. Like I don't listen to any of them like all the time. I just don't have time. But there are, just in general, when it comes to listening, people talk about stuff. You have maybe 2 or 3 times to say something that I know is incorrect.
Right.
And I let it go once, no big deal. But if you keep saying stuff that I know is incorrect, and that's any subject, right? After about 2 or 3 times you saying stuff that I know is not correct, and you just keep doing it, I'm just like, okay, yeah.
So to your point, though, I actually agree with you on that because I think the podcasts that focus on the current product really are that way. I'm a little more annoying that way. I prefer to listen to like the legacy podcasts. Like, I love Something to Wrestle. I love listening to like DiBiase's podcast now, Jake Roberts' podcast, Grill and JR. I love the stories behind the stories.
And so
that's why I'm intrigued by podcasts more than anything else.
And like I like to listen to Eric Bischoff talk about the business side.
Me too. Also, yeah, Bischoff's podcast is great as well too.
And because he's very knowledgeable about all the TV stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then And I give him credit. He's very self-aware. He owns everything he did as a booker or whatever that did not work. He owns all. He owns up to it. He's the first one to admit that. Yeah, we shouldn't have done that. And I'll give him that because a lot of folks just will not admit to having made the wrong decision or whatever.
No, what about you, DJ? Where are you on wrestling podcast?
I haven't really listened to many lately. For a while there, I did listen to some of the Eric Bischoff stuff. I was really big into Talk is Jericho back in the day. Just because Chris is a great talker.
Yes.
I think as time goes on and he's become just this bitter middle-aged man, I can't. I think the last episode of his I listened to was when he had Meltzer on, and they dedicated an entire episode, strangely enough, to the legacy of Chris Benoit. And while the meat and potatoes of the episode was really good, at that point, I was like, I kind of checked out after that. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of free time to listen to podcasts, but when I do, I try to, because like you guys, I like the stories behind the stories. And just like I was telling you guys earlier with the Jake the Steak thing and, some of the behind the scenes stuff, some of it, I take with a grain of salt, but it's interesting to hear the kind of the mechanisms of the industry.
Yeah. And learning why they book certain things a certain way.
Right.
What was the thought behind this and that? Like, I find the business so fascinating. I really do. I really do.
It's an interesting, it really is a fascinating business.
By the way, Talk is Jericho is awesome because he covers music also too. On top of that, not just wrestling.
Yes.
Because and like DJ said, Chris is a good talker, and he's good at interviewing wrestlers.
He is.
Because I listened the week before Jinder Mahal won the world title, he had Jinder on there, and by the time that thing was over, look, I was rooting hard for Jinder Mahal to win the world championship.
There you go, it worked.
Because him tell a story, and Chris asked, he asked great questions. Because I haven't listened to it in a long time. Edge and Christian were really good when they were doing theirs, because they would talk about stuff they had done, and they're both like legitimately funny guys when they're doing stuff together.
By the way, Derujo's here. Number one,
they're doing the other side of the All-American gimmick.
Yeah, they just moved to America finally, so the citizens now apparently. But they're really underrated though. I thought they could got a little more juice out of this tag team. I actually enjoyed them.
Yeah, I've been saying it for years now. I would love to have seen Peak Rougeau's versus FTR.
Absolutely. There's Paul Roma and Jim
Powers.
Jim Powers, thank you. No, my favorite podcast for now, and no surprise to anybody else to be known for last year, Kevin Nash's podcast.
Yeah.
Because he goes into everything, not just wrestling. He goes into politics, sports, culture, you name it. His palette, and it's funny, I was never a big Kevin Nash fan or a big Diesel guy, but I've said for years, if there's one guy who's on his own podcast and not just have it only wrestling, but was Kevin Nash, and go figure, last year, finally came through with the podcast, and he hasn't disappointed at all. It's a great show.
Tina was watching a movie last night with Kevin Nash in it. It was called the Almighty Thor. He played Odin.
Really?
It was terrible. Sorry, Big Kev. Tina's watching this. She's like, I have no fucking clue why I'm watching this. It popped up next after what she was watching. She was watching something. It came up next, and she just hit play and got right into it. And I'm sitting down there. It was so bad, it was fascinating. And for his part, he wasn't bad in it. The movie around him was terrible.
He might agree with you on that, probably. If you ask him.
Oh well, look, he don't care. Look, he'll be the first one to tell you, man. Hey, they paid me for this, okay?
I got paid.
I know that, but Nash to me always felt like a self-aware guy too. Also, very self-aware guy. No, I love Kevin Nash's podcast. I love like I said, Jake. I like Jake's show. To be honest, Jake's podcast is pretty good because Jake is pretty direct and honest about shit.
Yeah,
very transparent. No bullshit. Shivani's okay. They do a lot of watch-alongs. Shivani with Conrad.
Conrad's the king of the 4-hour podcast, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
He's good at it though. He's good at it though.
Is he?
It's just I mean, those things are long, man.
Well, like I said, I remember one time where they hooked me was, I have a story behind this too. There was a hurricane threatening to come here in 2017, and I had to go in line to get water in a car line and those lines are like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the Macho Man Randy Savage episode of the podcast on Something to Wrestle, and I listened to pretty much the entire episode just waiting to get water.
Wow.
But it was fantastic. It didn't feel long because I had that thing on listening to it. It was great to pass time. The stories you hear about this, why they booked this way, the mega powers, all that, and just all the behind the scenes stuff. That's where they hooked me.
Because well, like Cornette, well, his episodes are long, but it's broken up into different topics, so it's easy to kind of to skip ahead or to jump to different places.
The best way is these podcasts now, Rob. And I told you, I listen to these podcasts now, most of them in clips on YouTube, and they do a good job of breaking down episodes into clips.
Yeah, because that meant they figured. I think a lot of these folks figured out that there aren't a whole lot of people that are really going to sit down and listen to 3 or 4 hours, even if they got 3 or 4 hours of stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
there aren't there isn't going to be a whole lot of people just sitting down and listening to 3 or 4 hours straight through, twice a week or once a week or whatever.
Yep. Who's just with the win? Jimmy Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Future Mountie, by the way. There.
Boy.
Andre's pissed.
Yeah.
But Jake fought like a man. I'm not afraid. This shit scared me as a kid, though.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fucking love Andre, dude. Rest in peace, my friend.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is actually probably Andre's last great feud, honestly, was this one.
It was.
I mean, he feuded the Warrior late in '89, and he had the tag team thing with the Haku and all that. But to me, Jake's last great feud was this one.
Talk about a guy who could. God, he was so good on the mic.
Yes, he was. I was watching again. And I hate referencing this Wrestling Challenge '86 when Jake got there. He did a promo, all dressed up like regular human being, and the promo was amazing. Look at Gene. Keep that shit away from me. I feel like to your point though, I feel like Vince had it in his mind that Jake could do something with Jake probably somewhere. There's a chance possibly.
Yeah, because I remember Jake told a story once. They actually shot an angle with him and Hogan where he attacked him.
Yeah, 86.
Yeah, but they just deep sixed it because it
Burn
didn't
the
get the
tapes.
reaction.
Yep, the burn the tapes.
Yeah, because again, Jake was one of those people who was too cool to boo, and you couldn't risk that with Hogan.
Of course.
You got to argue. I mean, at this point, would you say it's probably Hogan, Savage, Jake the Snake, as far as baby faces on the roster at this point?
Easily. Yeah.
Okay.
Easily. And to be honest with you, I don't blame Vince for burning the tapes because Hogan has sustained this relevancy for a very, very long time.
That and then you couldn't risk if the crowd turned against Hogan even a little bit during that feud. There's no guarantee that you would make up for it with Jake as far as selling T-shirts and tickets and all of that stuff.
Right.
So you had to. I mean, you had
bottom
to.
Line.
Yeah.
And not only that, Hogan worked as a heel in '96 in NWO because of how much of a babyface he was early on. Is why the term worked.
Yeah. I think with the company where it is now, where the company itself is the moneymaker and the company itself is like the face of itself, you could do that now. Like if you pulled Hogan and Jake the Snake out of 1988, plucked them, just dropped them right into 2023, you could do that feud now because it wouldn't matter if, a few people booed Hogan or cheered Jake. It's because they do that now anyways. We just had Seth Rollins and CM Punk in the ring 2 weeks ago, and the crowd was booing and cheering for both of them.
Yeah, I think, though, by the time they actually have the match, I think Seth Rollins is going to be a heel at that point.
Right. By the way, go ahead.
Because to me, I just even though there are people who cheer for Roman, when it's time to really boo him, they do.
Yeah,
they play along.
And when he does some really foul shit like they did to Kevin Owens and to Sammy earlier this year, he got booed out of the building. And to me, I think you still got to do that. I mean, you still, and one of the reasons I think, a big reason the company turned around the past couple of years because you had him as a central figure, and he was very well defined as a bad guy. Like, even though there are people like me where he's my favorite wrestler and all of that, but
I'll freely admit, so I told you guys, Seth Rollins is my favorite. I think he's a more effective heel.
I agree.
Oh yeah, and I think he's found like now because the singing along and all of that is working for him. But I think just at his base level, I think he is he is better as a heel, and I think with this Punk thing, he's going to end up back there. Because look, I think the stuff works better when the roles are more defined.
Yeah.
I think it just, again, all the stuff. Cody is very firmly Cody. There's no ambiguity to what Cody is.
Right.
There's no ambiguity with Sammy. Even when Sammy was in the bloodline, we all knew that at heart he was kind of the lovable loser type of guy. I think it works better when the roles are defined. And I know, during the Attitude Era, things got a little more gray. And I think that worked fine at that time. That was the thing to do. But now, but that's 20, almost 30 years ago. I think we've gotten away from that, and I think it works. I think things work better when it's simple, when the roles are defined, and when you know who the good guy and the bad guy are. And that's one of my just kind of, I guess, pet peeves about more modern day stuff is now, like, there are a lot of wrestlers now who, like, they're supposed to be heel, but then they're doing babyface stuff during the match because they're pandering to the crowd, and they're trying to get the crowd to pop for the stuff that they do, and it's like, which is one of the good things about Roman. Roman stopped doing all the crowd popping stuff, and because he used to bust out a whole lot of moves and everything. Now, he cuts people off and he trash talks for half the match, and and then of course the work rate nerds hate that, but that's that's what you're supposed to do. You're a heel. You're not supposed to be trying to get the crowd to pop for stuff.
Right. They're supposed to be cheering the babyface.
Right.
Exactly. All right, guys. That was a fun another event here. We just concluded 1988. Any final thoughts on that? Not really a great show altogether. We've had better shows of this run in 88 main events. Obviously, at Height of Powers was a good show in terms of Savage and Andre and all that. Maybe Hercules to some degree, but it was a pretty average show at best.
Yeah, I think for a show that's the last show of the year, I think it's fine. We're not quite into Royal Rumble WrestleMania season. It's fine.
Yeah.
I really dug the Andre Savage match, though.
Yes,
I did. I really did. I love it.
To me, it was worth watching just for that. The other stuff was kind of throwaway, most of it, but I really dug the Andre Savage match here.
So you're not a Super Ninja fan? No future for him, huh? No fan of Super Ninja? Super Ninja? No fan of Super Ninja?
No love for Super Ninja.
No.
No shot, huh? No chance of future, huh?
No.
Look, he I'm sorry, they should have gotten a proper masked jobber like Thunderfoot or
for real, man.
Okay.
Real. Anyway, guys, go ahead and plug. Anyone want to plug?
Go for it, Rob.
Well, you can always hear us every week on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. Me, DJ, and Jason, and you can hear me. I have my own solo thing, the Rob the Genius Podcast, and you can hear that whenever I get around to finishing an episode.
Every 2 weeks?
Yeah, every 2 weeks usually.
You dropped 2 this week, though. Today, actually, I think.
Well, because I threw one together, because I do another thing that's like called Wrestling with Data, where I spend a few minutes and talk about some number stuff. So I did like a year in review version of Wrestling with Data, and I just talked about briefly what were the number wise, what were the biggest stories going on.
Correct.
And and just to give a spoiler, the number wise, the number one story this year is CM Punk, on both sides of the street.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, DJ.
Again, with Rob on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at The Mindless Pod. And if you're so inclined, the Mindless Wrestling Podcast is on YouTube. You can look us up there at, The Mindless Wrestling Podcast.
All right, fellas. It's a great show as always. By the way, Happy New Year. Because it's the last show of the year for us here. And until next time, good job.
All right.